Hey, Coach. Good to see you. Hope all is well. Yeah, thank you. I wanted to ask, obviously, with the announcement that Calgary they've had their games suspended, that affects Seattle. Have there been any conversations yet on what that will look like and how that will adjust the team schedule as of right now?
No, we just had that news officially come across this morning, and actually, I just saw it as I got off the ice from practice. So we really haven't had those conversations yet. That's 4 games down the road. So obviously, we have our work in front of us here before we get to that date. Obviously, we'll make a small adjustment to our Christmas schedule, most likely. And we'll look at that over the next couple of days.
And you talked about the schedule. Obviously, you have a few teams coming in, including Toronto. A lot of the conversation around this new team is when players are going up against their old teams. But what will that be like for you? You've already experienced that with Philly, but now with Toronto coming in.
Yeah, everybody has connections, close knit connections throughout the league. So, it's always, it's always important when you have an opportunity to compete against, a former organization. I think it's been very important for each of our players to acknowledge that. And, obviously I have a great amount of respect for everybody in Toronto from top to bottom. I really enjoyed, the 2 years that I was able to have there, and not just with, the management and organization and coaching staff, but also the players. So there's always a little bit extra on the line when you come into those games.
Scott Malone.
Hey, Dave. I know he's only been up here with you guys for less than a week, but was just wondering to get what your impressions of Alexander True have been so far. Saw him skating today with Tanev and Yarncroke, and I was just wondering what you've seen from the coaching side of things, growth-wise from him since you last saw him in preseason.
Yeah, one of the areas that he really made an impression on us, especially in the last portion of camp, probably the last half of training camp, was just his reliability defensively, his ability to pick up, and understand his role within our system. And we really feel like he's done a nice job of that in his first couple of games. Just being real comfortable, real confident, on our side of the red line. And along with that, he's done a nice job just in his, just in the little one-on-one battles, the little puck battles. Things that make a difference in a hockey game, but sometimes go unnoticed. So we've been very happy with that side of it. We'd like to see now, the pace of his play within that system and within our system pick up just a little bit as he gets a little bit more comfortable, within our lineup. And, he's going to have the opportunity, obviously, to do that against, a couple of pretty good teams coming up here this weekend.
Andy Ide.
Hey, Dave, you guys have been dealing with COVID issues since pretty much the start of the season. Every team has now. It's all over the sports world. I'm wondering how different your internal conversations with the guys about being safe and protecting themselves. Has that changed much since these latest outbreaks?
Well, it really hasn't changed much. Obviously, it's a little bit more into the spotlight because of what is happening, not just around the sports world, but in general throughout society over the last week or two. We've talked and preached to each other, about taking care of ourselves here right from day one. And there's only so much that you can do in terms of talking. So just a matter of being diligent and doing everything within your control, to be in a good spot.
Ryan Clark.
Hey, Dave, how's it going? In terms of Mason Appleton, we just spoke to him a little bit ago, and he was saying that, hey, that line that he's been on, they've been getting more scoring chances, and that's what helps build that confidence in terms of knowing you're going to get those chances and eventually goals. What have you seen from Mason individually in terms of his growth since he's come back from the injury, where you're like, okay, I'm seeing that consistency and how he's getting those chances?
I just think the sharpness of his game is coming more into focus. That group, they draw a lot of tough assignments on on any given night. So it starts with little things, all the attention always comes to scoring and point producing. But when you're in a role, playing against the other team's top lines on a good portion of the night, you got to do the little things well up and down the rink. And, you know, I see Apps doing a better job and being more efficient on the wall, which gets us out of our zone. You know, he's doing a better job taking care of pucks and finding his teammates and line mates. And that comes hand in hand with growing chemistry with your line mates as well. Those little things lead to a little bit more offense. And, you know, you go back to the San Jose game and look at the opportunities that were there for, you know, for Apps and his line mates. You know, there was some good opportunities there. They didn't find the back of the net, but as long as they keep playing the right way on our side of the red line, doing the right things, getting up ice and giving themselves opportunities to be in the offensive zone, those chances will be there and they'll start going in a little more frequently.
Allison Lucan.
Hey, Dave, the Kraken have been really successful at generating shots off of rebounds. What has gone into that for you systematically and also personnel wise?
You know, I'll be honest with you, that's an area that I'd like to see us get much better at. You know, the percentages may look, you know, pretty good. I just don't know if we're giving ourselves enough opportunity, you know, to be inside for those rebounds. And by that, I mean, I think we can shoot the puck more, entering the zone, initially in the offensive zone. You know, we're still turning down, you know, too many shots in my opinion. We're missing the net on some of those first and initial shots, and that reduces your opportunity to get inside for seconds and rebounds. So when we're putting it in there, you know, I like our mentality. We've got some guys, you know, guys like Jaden Schwartz and, you know, guys like that are really good at getting inside, spinning off their check and finding those second pucks. You know, I really just feel like we need to do it, you know, at a higher volume and, you know, be in that spot more frequently.
And if I may, Dave, one follow-up, when you talk about those shots upon entering the zone, is that where so much of that offense coming from your defenders at the top of the zone? Is that what you're speaking of there?
That's part of it. On entry, a lot of times, you know, it depends, you know, it depends what you have in front of you offensively as you enter the zone. You know, at times when, you know, when things are closed off and you can't get to the net, that, you know, that likely opens up the top of the zone for, you know, for a delay and a look to your defenseman. And, you know, if you can get that puck through to the net with bodies at the net, you can generate not only traffic in front of the goaltender, but you do have a chance to generate some of those seconds. So that's one area that they come, you know, that's, you know, some of those pucks can come from, excuse me. You know, the other is, you know, just through our offensive zone play. And, you know, we're good when we're a shoot first mentality team that gives us a chance to retrieve pucks and then, you know, try to get a little bit of motion going in the zone. So that's the other area that, you know, your D can really become involved in some of those opportunities.
Time
Thanks,
for
Dave.
two more. We'll go Scott Maloney.
Dave, a minute ago, you touched on sort of the confidence that you have in that Wenberg, Appleton, Johansson line and how they, you know, they're up to the task of facing top competition, you know, from a lot of teams. What specifically is it about that line that gives you sort of the confidence to give them some of those difficult matchups?
Well, we have a couple different lines that have been able to play within that role. Obviously, with Yanni Gord being out, that, you know, that limits us a little bit more in some of those matchups. But, you know, it starts with your centerman. You know, obviously your centerman is the driver in most of those situations. You know, in terms of, especially in our defensive zone system, you know, our centerman is very, very important in taking care of the middle of the rink and being able to attack pucks and double on pucks. There's an awful lot of work there. So Wendy does a nice job in that. And then again, it comes down to little things. You know, they're not highlight reel plays by any stretch of the imagination, but, you know, being good on the wall, being able to take care of a puck and get through the neutral zone. You know, JoJo's one of the better guys in the league in terms of being able to gain entry into the offensive zone and, you know, take care of us getting through the neutral zone. So, you know, if you're able to do that, that takes away transition from the other team, and, you know, that's another small piece of it for those guys.
Last one here. Let's go Darren Brown.
Hey Dave, I know things are kept pretty close to the vest with the COVID protocols, but I'm curious if you are able to say if there's any chance we see any of the guys that are in protocol this weekend.
I got to do my math. No, I don't believe, excuse me, I do not believe that, I don't see our roster changing as we go through the weekend here.
Okay.
And I believe I'm right on that. So protocol, the days and the actual specific protocol is pretty stringent. So I do not think, I don't see any change to our lineup in terms of availability with those guys.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.